What's going on, Sports Nation? I'm your host, Kenneth Tiberius Clark, and you guys are listening to another fun episode of the Sports Exclusive podcast. So for today's quick episode, I wanted to flash back to 2022. I went on my Chicago trip, the beginning of my Midwest tour. Yes, I'm on a Midwest tour right now. I just left Minnesota. But yeah, went to Chicago, visited one of my old Navy buddies. We had a great time. I was able to kind of really knock out everything on my Chicago bucket list. Let's see. I took a picture in front of the Bean. Check. I went to the Art Institute of Chicago. Check. Beautiful, by the way. I think probably one of the better or best art expositions or whatever in the United States. But great. Check. I went pub crawling in Wrigleyville. Had a blast. Check. I got a deep dish pizza from Gorgiano. Did I say it right? Gorgiano's? Yeah, had a deep dish pizza from Gorgiano's. And then, and this is the point of this episode, I couldn't live with myself if I didn't check out my local Blackhawks game. Like, I don't know, it's just something, it just felt Mando. Like, it felt like to get my Chicago, like, blue collar, Midwest stamp of approval, I had to attend a Blackhawks game while I was there. So I bought tickets prior to going up. Me and my buddy went. We had a great time. For me, it was an eye-opening experience. Not for the sport in itself, because I've seen it before. I knew it was fast-paced and physical. But I'll be honest, I didn't think I was going to see that many black people. I know it sounds kind of shallow, but I didn't. I just didn't expect to see that many black people at the game, enjoying it. We just had you guys just seen the flashback episode that we had with Chris Harris. I think he played at a semi-pro level himself. Avid hockey fan, historian, knows the sport. So if I say this, I don't think I'm out of line for saying this. Hockey is a predominantly white sport with a predominantly white fan base that's participated and played by people, usually a lot of times people that come from affluent backgrounds or well-earning, upper high middle class. I don't know, however you want to classify it, but people that make money, people that come from money usually participate in hockey. Chris talked about it. It's an expensive sport to play with equipment and all that stuff. But I say all that to say, it was surprising to see people that look just like me watching the game and enjoying it and enjoying it in a very natural way, right? It's not like, you can go to an event, you could look at somebody and you can say, oh yeah, this is their first time coming to a basketball game. This is their first time coming to a football game, a baseball game, whatever. You can tell that it's their first time just based on their body language, right? I didn't get that there. Like, that was me. I was in hockey. That was my first hockey game ever. So I'm looking around. I'm like, man, this is a pretty cool experience. This was just a regular Saturday for them. So, I even seen a few black Chicago Bear players there, right? So, and by the way, I say black. If African American is your thing, you can go by that too. That's another way, but I just say black. So, but no, it's something I came back from my trip, and it's something that I really reflected on coming back. It really left an impression on me because I'm like, man, are black people starting to like hockey? Like, is this a thing? Is this becoming a thing? Right? So, but no, I wanted to know, are we starting to build a strong fan base in one of the world's most predominantly white sports? That was the question that I had when I left my Chicago trip and came back home to San Diego. So I came back and I did some research. First thing I did, I went to the internet and social media to search for groups or to search for anything. I wanted to see if there was a community of people just like me who are interested in the sport or have been following it for a significant period of time. And I did. I actually found some cool stuff, right? First, it was a nonprofit. It's still going strong. A nonprofit called the Black Girl Hockey Club. And it's an organization that I think just perfectly aligns with what we want to do here at the Sports Exclusive podcast. their main focus is to prevent exclusion from hockey and create a safe space. I got this off their website, and create a safe space for Black women, or Black people. We throw everybody in there, just to enjoy and grow the sport, in some of these urban areas around the United States. So they host events, they attend games, they even have scholarships, for some of these kids, and really just kind of provide access to hockey in a way that some of us, I know I can speak for myself, never really had access to. So that's one. I also found another organization called Hockey Diversity Alliance, which is very similar to Black Girl Hockey Club, but their focus is a little bit more on the coaching and development side. Actually, this organization is ran by former and current players, right? So that should kind of give you a gist of really what they're about. But they have training programs for young upcoming players. They provide them with equipment because, like I just said earlier, Chris Harris, it's an expensive sport to play. But both programs, not to go too long, but both programs are great because they're really serious about community outreach and really preventing systematic racism both in and out of the sport. So, and granted, both are fairly new programs, right? Haven't been around that long. I think Black Girl Hockey Club 2018 and Hockey Diversity Alliance circa 2020. I like using that word circa. I felt like this was a perfect moment to slide it in. But I think that these two programs are going to pay humongous dividends, and they're going to do a lot as far as accelerating the growth of hockey in the Black community or other ethnic communities, right? And then speaking of fanship and the growth of fanship in different communities, I looked on Statista because I wanted to see exactly where us as Black people, where we fell in the grand scheme of things as far as NHL interest. So according to Statista, we make up 10% of the country's NHL interest. That's compared to 15% by Caucasians and 13% by Latino and Hispanics. And I know people, you may look at it and say, oh, okay, well, 10% is not a lot. And by the way, these are avid fans. It's not just like casual fans. These are the people who actually are addicted, follow the sport. So that's why the percentages can seem a little low. Trust me, it's more than 15% white people that watch hockey. So certain people, you guys may look at it and be like, man, this is kind of low. But it's actually progress. I want to say 3 to 4 years ago, we were only at 6.5%. So we're steadily growing. We're steadily increasing. We're steadily becoming more involved in hockey. And if someone asked me, a casual working his way to becoming an avid fan, right? I'm still very new to the sport myself. If they were to ask Kenny, why do you think that Black people are starting to like hockey? And I keep it simple with them. It's not even a long or complicated answer. Representation. If we look at the NHL over the past 5 to 10 years, the amount of Black players is increased substantially. Substantially. And I say relative to the players that have played before, right? If we look even 3 to 4 years ago, and let's jump beyond for 2 seconds, just Black people. I want to say about 4 years ago, there were only 50. Yeah, there were only 50 people of color in the NHL. Right? That's anybody non-white, people of color. There were only 50. And now, fast forward to 2023, there are about between 30 and 40 black players alone. I think 34 to be exact. So, and it just to rattle off some names so you guys have a reference point. You guys have somebody to look at. We have solid players. Dakota Johnson plays for Vancouver. We have Anthony Duclair. He's a pretty good player. He helped the Panthers. They went to the Stanley Cup last year. Lost, but he helped them reach it. And then probably one of the better players, or one of the better players in NHL, regardless of race, Seth Jones. son of my NBA fans, you guys should know him. Popeye Jones was his dad, right? Crazy looking dude. No offense. But Seth Jones is really good. He just made his 5th All-Star a year ago, right? So, and he's carved out a successful career overall. And then I'll give you another example. I remember it was 2018, somewhere up in there. And I remember seeing the cover of NHL 19 and PK Subban was on the front. I'm like, man, a black man on the front of NHL, right? It was just crazy. I was in awe. And here's the thing: I don't want to get too caught up on the players. We can go down a long list of every player, every black players in the NHL. Obviously, the list is not that long. 34 is not a lot of players, but there's representation on all levels of the sport. Kim Davis, she is the executive VP, a black woman. She's been the executive VP since 2017. And she's the one really leading the charge as far as like the focus on diversity and inclusion. Like that's her main mission as the executive VP of the NHL, and she's made a lot of strides. We just got our first black play-by-play announcer this year, Everett Fitzhugh, right? First black play-by-play announcer. That's big. And then you guys just heard me mention PK Subban. He retired, he was on the cover, but he retired and now he's an analyst with ESPN. So there are a lot of great examples of progression within the sport. And, just to keep a long story short, I don't want anybody to get offended. I don't want anybody to get offended by my extreme focus on the black community when talking about, hockey or anything like that. Diversity as a whole is important. I just wanted to make sure that I spoke to the black experience, because, and I have to say this for my fellow brothers and sisters in the black community. If we look into, we talk a lot about the Negro League and what it was and the influence that it had on Major League Baseball. Well, guess what? Hockey had an equivalent. The CHL, the Colored Hockey League. And once I really did my research, I said, wow, like there was actually, and if I'm not mistaken, this is considered the first organized hockey league in the history of the sport. But yeah, Color Hockey League started in Nova Scotia, late 1800s, and I think it was in existence for about 30 to 40 years before they shut down. But just to show you how influential they are credited with the invention of the slap shot, right, which we know was monumental. And if I'm not mistaken, or based off of what I've read and what I've learned, is prior to the CHL, goalies weren't allowed to fall to their knees to defend and stop the puck. That was something that was started in the CHL. So it really helped build the foundation for what professional hockey or the sport as a whole has become. So in closing, I hope you guys can really just take what I said and understand that everything that's happened with the sport, this is just a result of it getting away from us as a community, because we are a part of what it's become. And, for people who are just like me, and you're getting into the sport, right? It's not just black people. If you're any other ethnic community, if you're just getting into the sport, you're just getting interested in it, or you're younger and you're interested in actually playing yourself, I want you to know that it's okay to take up space in this predominantly white sport or realm, because, like I said, we look into the catacombs of hockey. We are a part of its history. And based off of how things are going, and the direction we're headed, we're a part of its bright future as well. So, like I said, nothing too long. I didn't want to go too crazy today. I just really wanted to talk about a sport that I'm slowly but surely starting to fall in love with. Obviously, everyone knows my first love is football, but going to Chicago and getting a chance to experience that Blackhawks game really, really piqued my interest, and now I'm looking at adding something else to my tool belt. So for some of you guys who have never tried it, hey, go to your local hockey game. It doesn't have to be like a super professional team. You know, you don't got to go to an LA Kings game, or you know, you don't even have to go to Blackhawks. There are actually a lot, if I'm not mistaken, there are a lot of semi-pro leagues in different cities. Like I know out here in San Diego, we have the Predators. Is it San Diego Predators? Maybe, I don't know. I had to check them out, but there are plenty of opportunities to get engaged in the sport. Check out the Black Girl Hockey Club. I know they do a lot of fundraisers and a lot of events. So check their website out. And in Hockey Diversity Alliance, they have some good stuff as well. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and check out hockey and let me know what you guys think. Talk to you guys soon.